Growing up, I was the youngest of 3 boys in my family. While my brothers followed in my father's footsteps, I found myself closer to my mother, and unfortunately, my father's abusive behavior towards my mother overshadowed our family. Although I never witnessed his physical violence, his constant reprimands and yelling took the smiles off my mother's face. My brothers took after their father, which made my life miserable. I still wonder why my mother stayed with my father after she went to college. I found fulfillment in volunteering, and it was through volunteering that I found the love of my life. My name is Harry Simmons, and I have a secret identity as Father Christmas, although I prefer to keep this under wraps, what WPS calls a mental quirk. Despite my reserve appearance, I have a fun-loving side, and playing Santa at events introduced me to my wife, one of Santa's helpers who manages the children at events. I played this role at events, and I only knew her by name, but her personality immediately caught my attention. Our romance began to blossom, and after a few more dates we became lovers. A year later we tied the knot, and although we didn't have a family yet, the subject began to come up more often as we approached 30. After 4 years of marriage, Victoria began suggesting that I didn't need to accompany her to her company parties, and I continued to attend in a perfunctory manner to her suggestions. The coordinator emailed me detailing my duties, which included mingling with the guests in addition to the usual tasks of entertaining the children and handing out gifts, which I found to be a tricky task, but I agreed. After confirming these tasks, I realized that the company hiring Santa for the hotel event was none other than Victoria's employer, Moreton Enterprises. I waited until the Thursday night before her party to bring it up. Victoria, how about dinner and a film tomorrow night? Sometimes I wonder if you really listen to me. It's not a big deal if you miss it anyway. Let's face it, parties aren't really your thing. Did Victoria have a disappointed look on her face when she said that? Actually no, it was more like she was trying to restrain her pleasure. Despite my reserved nature, I have a knack for remembering faces and names. Only a few of the attendees gave me a second chance, sensing in their minds that something about me looked familiar, that the eyes would make a subconscious impression on them. Luckily no one ever blew my cover. Michael, on the other hand, didn't seem too happy. His body language was far from welcoming. Michael turned away from Victoria, and I noticed her exchanging glances with one of the salesmen, Pat Stillman, who was maybe 10 years older than us, had a wife and kids, and if I remember correctly was a salesman for BBU in the summer. On the dance floor, Victoria and Pat swayed to a slow song, her head resting gently on his shoulder, and my stomach clenched when I saw Victoria move Pat's hand to her side. Without hesitation I grabbed my phone and took a few pictures from behind the screen. I picked the most suspicious one and sent it to Victoria with a message about failing the mate test. Look at this picture someone sent me. If the next one doesn't show you slapping this guy hard, I'm going to be very disappointed. Isn't that Pat Stillman? Victoria must not have felt the buzz of my message, or her mobile phone was left on her seat by me on a whim. I dialed the hotel's number and asked to be connected to Victoria Simmons, but no such name registered. What about Pat Stillman? Do you encourage your married staff to party hard at these parties? I wasn't even invited to the party. Isn't it strange that Pat booked a room at this hotel? The photographer nodded and continued to mingle with Victoria and Pat and take pictures of them. After the second slow dance, Victoria and Pat shared a light kiss on the lips and went their separate ways. I've always wondered why these kids' mums flirt with Santa. Did they think I had something to do with the big guy? Don't get me wrong, I don't mind when a woman goes out of her way to make me notice her cleavage. I noticed Victoria sneaking a glance at her phone, which was hilarious. She backed away from Pat and scanned the room, trying to work out who might have taken that picture. Pat tried to reassure her with his arm, but she brushed it away and spoke sternly to him. Luckily my phone was on silent as Victoria hurried down the corridor alone, clutching it. My phone vibrated and I could see her pacing back and forth, from time to time picking it up from her ear and staring at it as if that would make me answer her call. I took the opportunity to send Victoria the picture that looked more like we'd been caught with no need to go home. She replied quickly, and when she glanced at her phone with a quick thumb she looked visibly distracted as she sent another message. It's not what you think, it's a complete misunderstanding. Or at least I've disrupted her plans for the night, but I doubt I was lucky enough to catch her in the act before her affair caught her before it started, if Pat was separated or divorced. Pat nervously scanned the crowd for an informant while Victoria kept her distance from everyone and finally made her way to the bathroom. Her smile disappeared instantly, replaced by a look of horror and panic. Victoria wiped a tear from her eye, gathered her things and left the party, and just like that, the strange circle was complete. After dinner with the kids, I decided to take a break. Victoria left a couple of voice and text messages and I replied to her. My informant told me that you and Pat were sent home. Did you go back to his hotel room? I wasn't feeling well, so I left and went straight home. I'm alone here now. Where are you going home? Like I told you not to go home. I thought I was going to get a room tonight. You've let me down, Harry. Don't talk like that. Go home. Let me explain and you'll understand. There's nothing to understand. You're wearing an outfit I've never seen before. We're letting him. I'm betting that the two of you have a plan. No wonder you don't want me to go. Where's his wife and kids? They're getting divorced, so you're a homebody too. Shame on you. Victoria called me, but I didn't answer. My break was over last meeting with Santa, and then I packed up. Usually I'd spend the tip on a gift for Victoria if she gets anything from me. This year it's nothing better than a lump of coal. Now I'm back in my regular clothes. I found Michael. Hi Michael, it's Harry Simmons. I said, hold out my hand, Harry. I sent Victoria home. We won't tolerate her behavior here. She and Pat have a meeting with HR first thing Monday morning. Michael patted me on the back as I turned to leave. It must be exhausting to be the father of these troublemakers. Turn off the phone. I found a budget motel off the interstate. I won't say I cried myself to sleep, but I won't say I cried myself to sleep either. Asleep, but I wouldn't deny it either. Even without the help of an alarm clock, I woke up at the usual time. How did my body do that? Instead of calling Victoria back, I dialed the Santa hotline and asked if they needed a last-minute replacement, only to find out that the scheduled Children's Hospital Santa had been arrested for DUI on Saturday night. The kids are innocent, their hugs are full of hope, and if I have a parent around, whether it's a mom or a dad, they usually give me a tight, heartfelt hug. During lunch breaks, Eva is my guide. She is my age and we walk side by side at a brisk pace. We were allowed to use the nurse's lounge, but only if you promise to be disciplined. I'm here in place of Santa, so I came unprepared. The hospital will provide you with water and food. Just tell me what you want and it'll be here in 10 minutes. I suddenly feel closed off. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you. No need to apologize. It's my problem, not yours. You don't have a ring or a halo. It's hard to believe that someone as lovely as you could be unchained. Aren't you a sweet talker? I went to school very seriously and I don't want a relationship to interfere with my career. I've only been out of school 18 months. I've only been out of school for 18 months and now everything is settling down, so I might turn my dating radar up a notch. Or your smile won't keep you on the market for long, I said, tickling her with another big smile. My food came, along with apples for Eva. We continued to chat until my break was over. Eva stayed by my side as she led me from room to room. Eva waited for me to get changed and then walked me to the car. I hope we meet again, Santa, unless you want to tell me your real name. My name is Harry Simmons. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Eva, your smile was all I really needed. You were great today, Harry. The kids and the animals seem to know you're a good person. She turned around and headed back to the hospital as she said that. I sat in the driver's seat for a long time, and as I started the car, I knew what my future would be like, and being with these kids reinforced the direction I wanted my life to go. As I waited for the garage door to open, I saw Victoria pull back the curtains in the front room, her mother at her side. They gave me a cold look. My welcome was not warm. My father-in-law tried to politely explain why you had disappeared. Harry looked straight at Victoria and I retorted, I think Victoria gave you the Hallmark version. Did you forget to tell your family that you've started dating again, my freaking mother-in-law? I'm glad you're all here so the story doesn't get made up. I'm divorcing Victoria, I announced. Victoria screamed, Harry, no, hold up my hands. I told her to be quiet and let me finish. I've always wanted kids, but I decided it was too risky to have kids with Victoria. I was raised with abuse and disrespect. Last night Victoria showed her true colors. I don't want to end up being a weekend father. Victoria reached out to hug me, but my hand was caught in hers. Victoria reached out to hug me, but I blocked it with the kitchen table. I went on, just a month ago on our 5th wedding anniversary. In fact, we were talking about kids, and now I find out she has a boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. We never slept together. So what did you charge him for? Victoria left the room in a hurry, and suddenly everyone found something or someone to focus on. As I walked towards my bedroom, I heard a lot of whispered arguments. The bathroom door slammed and I guess that's where Victoria had hurried off to. 10 minutes later I retreated from my garage. On Wednesday Victoria was served with divorce papers at Meldon Enterprises. I had heard about it from a couple of angry relatives of my soon-to-be ex-wife. When Victoria called that night, I decided to remain polite. I said in my most monotone voice, "Harry, it's me. I know what you want." He never gave me a chance to clarify what you thought you saw in that picture. Go ahead, it was taken completely out of context. We must have been doing a spin move or something. That picture led to a very inaccurate conclusion. Let me play it again to see if your claim holds water. The only video is the one I keep replaying in my head. I wasn't thinking that night the video was just as easy to take as the photo. Harry, come on. It was just some stupid entertainment on the dance floor. We're in the past. Give me a chance, you won't regret it. He pleaded. You can't stay faithful for 5 years and now you're expecting me to believe that you're going to make it to 20. Because you've seen the light. I'm sorry, it's time for me to go. Call me shallow, call me a quitter, but the best description is gone. I'll fight for a divorce. Harry, good for you. I hope you get your act together before you remarry. That's my parting shot. The news that Victoria had been transferred to a lower position brought a smile to my face. My alimony was projected to go up a little. Curiosity got the best of me, so I made the best option. So I called Malden Enterprises and asked for Pat Stillman. Unfortunately, they told me he was out of the office for a few days. Oh well, there were only a few weeks left until Christmas and all the visits from Santa to the hospital had already been scheduled. On the Sunday afternoon before Christmas, I played Santa at another hospital. My contact and guide turned out to be a man with a bad attitude, but I still really enjoyed the children and their families. By the end of that day, I was more determined than ever to have a family of my own, even though I hadn't gotten round to filing for divorce. Victoria did not contest the divorce, but it dragged on until the spring. I built some female friendships, but was still a little hesitant to venture into the dating arena. Answering emails and making small talk helped pass the lonely evenings. No one at work knew about my divorce until I attended a company summer event without my spouse, and then the gossip started. According to a study I read about the demographics of cheating, it's almost even until age 50. At the end of August, while I was in line at the cafeteria, the maintenance man's ladder fell and hit me. Why he was climbing it at the busiest time of the day was not my concern. My heart skipped a beat when the curtain pulled back, and when I recognized her I said, "Look who it is. Father Christmas got himself a gash. His kids found out about your past. Is that why you're here? I know, your ring halo got divorced. Yeah. As of April, you still don't have any jewelry on your fingers. Take it off at work. Maybe I should ask you out to dinner. You can tell me all about it. Maybe you should tell me when was the last time you had a DPT. Eva, the little nurse, keeps distracting me so I don't feel the pain. Well done, little nurse. No problem. He doesn't remember the last time he had an EP shot. Shouldn't we give him a shot that hurts so he remembers next time after the doctor leaves? Eva cleans me up while she gently gives me the shot. She presses me again. Where are you taking me and when? Where can I show you off without worrying about you running off with my rival? Tell you what, I'll meet you at Maria's bar tomorrow night at 7 p.m. They have great pickles there and I can drive myself. I don't have your phone number or address. Bumper to bumper, it's a date, I said with that charming smile of hers. 0 p.m. My heart was pounding as I watched a man open the door for Eva. Even though he invited her to join him, she politely declined and scanned the room. She looked fabulous, and I admit I hadn't put too much effort into my attire. I stood up and waved to her and waved. Her smile immediately warmed my nervous heart, and I said, "Well, I did say I wanted to show you off. It didn't seem to take long for someone to take a chance, but I guess you're used to that. What can I get you to drink?" White wine, judging by the peanut shells. You've been here a while. Yeah, I can't be late, or at least that's what I've been told. Wow, a good listener. The noise level was just right so we could have a nice chat over dinner and a drink. When we got tired of sitting at the table, I suggested, "Would you like to go to the cinema or dancing? I'll send you the address. What's your phone number?" After exchanging pecks outside the restaurant, I found the location of the cafe on a map. Luckily, I found it easily. Eva got there before me. She knew all the best parking spots. The next 2 hours were enjoyable. She's 3 years younger than I am and wants kids and a career, but she's willing to pause her career for the first couple of years after the kids are born. It's obvious that you like me, and I have the same feelings about you. I feel the same way about you, but before things go any further, I need to know what led to the end of your first marriage. Eva, I really like you and I want you to understand that what I'm about to tell you is just my opinion. Last December I opened up at the Five Seasons Hotel and it turned out to be a party from my ex-husband's company, Malden Enterprises, to which I hadn't been invited, and I've been waited but didn't get an invite. Then on the Thursday before the party, I told her I had plans that Saturday. Before she mentioned her company's party, and I told her she didn't have to wait for me, which sounded suspicious and definitely raised some red flags. During my first break I watched them closely as they danced, then I saw something that confirmed my suspicions. She took his hand and put it on her side breast, discreetly but deliberately. I took a picture and I wish I had taken a video. I didn't waste time confronting her with the evidence of her and the company owner. What a manipulative person. The next day when I was at the children's hospital doing outpatient work, I met you. I realized that I couldn't trust the future of my child to someone like her, so I filed for divorce, and that was it. Eva asked me with obvious surprise. Yeah, it was a snap decision, no counseling or trying to work things out. No, having a child meant a commitment of at least 20 years. She couldn't even make it to 5 years. I got it. She missed the chance to have my child. Faith is a conviction that we should defend. I took. Eva had a complicated look on her face that night as we hugged and kissed. The conversation stalled. I wasn't sure if there would be another date, but a few days later I called her. She hadn't given up on us. Eva acted normal. It was a dull period until we committed to each other. After dinner, a walk in the park, Eva took me to her flat. She always wore jeans or thigh-high boots with a skirt. Her top hid any hint of cleavage. The holiday was soon over again. The holiday season was fast approaching. What were the plans for Saturday? She replied, how about being Santa's cute little helper? Maybe she was making fun of me. I volunteered to play Santa at your old place. She laughed and said, you're such a pervert. Hopefully those kids won't be telepathic or we'll be in trouble. Eva and I went to the children's center together. We made a great team and I loved seeing the joy on the children's faces. No, I spoke to Michael Morden, and he basically confirmed your story. I admire your courage in standing up for what you believe in, and you believe in loyalty, don't you? It seems I guessed the ring size correctly. I said you did. Both size 5 and 8 2 fit perfectly, she said with a mischievous smile. A few days later I proposed to her again, this time with a real ring. Just kidding, we gave them both traditional names. Who's calling? Where are you going? Dad's voice echoed down the corridor. It's Santa. He wants me to show his slave the way tonight. They won't even let you in the game. They're making fun of you. It's really Santa. Honey, who is she? Santa wasn't happy. He called Rudolph's brother Ralphie. Ralphie has an orange nose. Luckily they couldn't use Ralphie's orange nose to make jingle bells, so we were spared that annoying song. Rudolph's stocking was full of Cole's presents. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please consider bookmarking and subscribing, and if you haven't already done so, please feel free to share your thoughts on these events in the comments below.